I also wanted to thank people who helped and supported this conference. Renee Marshall, the grant consultant, Christos Valiotis, Dean of Math, Science, and Engineering Division, and Dr. Jennifer Zellet, the president of Antelope College, for providing their support for this program and support for the community. Now I want to introduce to you Christos Valiotis, Dean of Math, Science, and Engineering Division, who wrote this grant proposal and who made this program come into life. Christos. You're muted.
Could you unmute, please?
Muted, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jane, for your kind words. And I would be amiss if I didn't return the favor to Renee and Jane for doing such an amazing job in putting this together. I long for the days when we would have done this in our theater, when I can see all of you and meet and talk to each one of you personally, and hopefully next year we'll do this on a face-to-face. However, this still is good. There's 84 participants right now. I'm sure there are going to be others throughout the day. So congratulations of a very well done, of a job very well done, ladies. I appreciate it. And before I introduce Jennifer Zellet, Dr. Zellet is our new president, just took the helm. She's at the helm of the institution since July, 1st of July. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about the efforts that AVC has done over the years to support education. Believe it or not, the first meeting such as this was done with participation of about 20 teachers and a few faculty members, including myself, in 2004. As a matter of fact, it was probably sometime in this fall of 2004 where we met trying to figure out, with only one question at hand, what are we going to do to improve the STEM pool. I'm a physicist by training. I'm a physicist. I worked as a physicist and engineer. However, my PhD work is done in education and evaluation and assessment. So I have a very soft spot about education, because at the time that we met for the first time, we realized that regardless of the efforts that we're going to do to attract as many students as possible in the STEM programs, unless we actually feed the path as early as elementary school to get the students aware and their parents aware of the value of education in general, and specifically STEM education, we're not going to be able to recruit as many students as we wanted to in our college classes. Antelope Valley College, well, Antelope Valley in general is, as you know, is also called the Aerospace Valley. About 60% of the revenue of the surrounding areas, Palmdale, Lancaster, general, all the way up to Ridgecrest, is coming from the major aerospace industry, including the Air Force research labs and facilities. So we had, at the time, the recognizable problem was the lack of homegrown engineers, mathematicians, scientists, and so forth. Along the way, in planning how we're going to address that issue, which we have done, by the way, we realized that a close collaboration between K-12 districts and the college is necessary. So we started the first effort, as I said, in 2004, where we invited a few teachers and start talking. This led in the creation of what it's called now the STEMposium. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's not run by the college anymore. In 2012, I handed it over to the STEM Network, which is a valley-wide endeavor that includes all kinds of stakeholders. However, a specific teacher conference is still necessary. Over the years, and starting in 2004, we've done here at the college, free of charge. And as a matter of fact, we used to compensate participants when they came into our trainings. A lot of trainings for sciences and mathematics. We haven't expanded it to all other disciplines, which I'm glad to see that we're doing it now today, because that's what our specialty. This is what we're comfortable with. I mean, I'm comfortable in training teachers in science. I'm sure there's others out there and there's a big need in other disciplines, and we will continue our support in those disciplines. But we started this in 2004, and over the years we've done a lot of them. There have been gaps in terms of offering those trainings and those workshops for teachers for preparation. But we are making the biggest effort, the best effort that we can. As you know, funding is a problem. We're, you guys are in other community college districts or in K through 12, and we're all publicly funded. So we've been very successful over the years in securing federal funding to fund those efforts so that we don't put an undue pressure in the college finances. So this particular effort is funded by, as Jane mentioned, the Title V grant, which is from the Federal Department of the U.S. Department of Education, and we will continue those efforts to help you. You will hear more about the efforts that we're going to do starting this year. Some of you may be familiar also with a very successful program that we have for K through 12 students and teachers. Is the Science Olympiad, which is coming back on board face-to-face next February. If you're not familiar with it, we'll send you information to see if you can get involved in your schools. We offer training and we offer opportunities for supporting your students and your schools on that effort, if you would like to be part of it. But before I conclude, again, I want to thank Jane for her leadership in taking this on at a time where she was very busy. But the reason that the Antelope Valley College has been successful in doing projects like such as this is because of the excitement and the commitment of faculty and other friends of ours, such as Jane and Renee, and we appreciate this, ladies. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Dr. Jennifer Zellet, who is our new president. As I mentioned, came on board as of last July. Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Christos. And I want to begin by offering my apologies. I was trying some new technology here at home and I can't make my camera work. And so you're going to have to be stuck looking at this photograph. And I really apologize because I really like seeing everyone's face. And thank you to those of you who have your cameras on. Trust me, you would be looking at my face for good or ill if my camera were working. And so please accept my apologies for that. And know that I'm very excited to be here. I want to echo my thanks to Jane and Christos and Renee. Things like this, it may seem like, oh, it's just a Zoom meeting. It's just this, it takes so much organization. And like Christos said, it really does take a lot of organizational time and planning and really intense thought about what you as potential educators or educators looking to change how you're working. Takes a lot of thought to make meaningful sessions so that you can take away what you need. So I want to thank them for all the time and effort that they put into this. And I know that you're going to walk away from today seeing a whole new world of possibilities. If you're already an educator, maybe ideas for your career growth or even things that you can add to your toolkit. If you're someone who's looking to get into education, maybe this will be that inspiration that you need to take that step. So I would like actually to share a little presentation with you. So I'm someone who, you can do a lot of things for a job, right? There's a lot of things you could do. And if you're someone who wants to earn a lot of money, there's a lot of things you could do to make a really fine living. And actually teaching is one of them. If you're someone who is a parent, maybe you have a partner, maybe you're a single parent. A teaching career is one that is very flexible. There's intense times of work, but it's more family friendly than some careers. But there's a difference between a career and a calling. And my experience with people who pursue education and pursue teaching, they're not just looking for a career, they actually want something to do with their life that is meaningful. So, we always think, okay, when I'm on in my last thoughts and I look back, what has my life meant? What have I done? Have I made the world a better place? I can't think of a better career than teaching. It's right up there with medicine or policymaking or all of those things that make differences in people's lives. And in fact, you may have heard the phrase, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. It's very true. When you teach, especially when you teach young children, they are at the formative stages of their thinking, their worldview, their attitudes, their perceptions, and your thoughtful teaching and molding shapes who they will be for their life. And what's actually kind of sobering, especially if you are a parent, it's the fact that the teacher spends more time in a day with the child than the parent does. You're with them almost 8 hours, right? That's really intense. And what a privilege. And if you want to change the world, if we want the world to be a more peaceful, collaborative, kind place, then we start with our TK children today, teaching them to be peaceful, collaborative, kind, and teaching them how to discuss things without fighting. All of those things that we would like to see in our world, because those children will shape their minds and understand that you can live your life that way. So teaching is more than a career, it's a calling. So I don't know if you've ever done what's called a chatterfall, but chatterfalls are really fun. If you open up the chat box, don't hit send yet, but I want you to think for a second. Why do you want to teach if you're not teaching yet? If you're already teaching, why do you do what you do? So everybody type your response in the chat box, but wait until I say go to hit send, okay? We'll all hit send at the same time and then watch the chat box, because it's going to be this beautiful chatterfall of wonderful positivity. So go ahead and think and type. Okay, on your mark, get set, go. This is so exciting. To become the teacher I want my children to have, I want to help children, inspire children to learn music, represent all cultures, make a difference. I see that multiple times. This is wonderful. So exciting. To make an impact, want to be an inspiration. I love working with students and seeing how different they see things. This is so amazing. And you know what, guys, as I'm looking through this chatterfall, what I'm seeing is exactly the thing that will keep you grounded, because I promise you, there will be days where you are so tired and you think, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why do I keep, there's so much, you know, you'll get sort of caught up in the minutia of the job, all these papers to grade, you know, children with disciplinary things to tend to, administrivia, you know, the principal is saying, I needed that yesterday, right? All of those things. What keeps you inspired and keeps you going is remembering why you are doing this in the first place. Remember your why. I have a picture sitting in my office, and those at ABC who were at opening day heard my story, but it's a picture of my mother when she was 2 years old in a certain setting. That picture reminds me of my why. And on days when I get overwhelmed and wonder, who thought I could do this job? Why did they hire me to do this? Because we all have imposter syndrome and we all have self-doubt. I look at that picture and I say, I'm doing this because I know education makes a difference. I know it's a game changer. So when we think, thank you for participating. That was really wonderful. And I believe that if you're saving the chat, they might be able to share this with you. I'm looking for my, there we go. So let's talk about educator needs in the Antelope Valley. Renee mentioned this earlier, but when we talk, and thank you, by the way, for letting me use a fun PowerPoint background. People in my job always have to use the stuffy, you know, very formal sort of looking thing. But I thought, oh, this is education. We get to have some fun, and it's fall. So
Jennifer, I was actually going to say thank you for bringing the pumpkins, because I just brought off 2 big trays of pumpkin stuff for my kids' school just yesterday. So thank you for bringing the pumpkin. I think almost, especially since it's finally cooler, Like,
Right.
doesn't it feel right, everybody? So thank you, Jennifer, for that. Sorry to interrupt there, but I
It's
totally want to say
okay.
thanks for that.
So I'm just going to briefly give you an overview of some things that I saw, and this was just a super quick glance. I just went to one place, but look, just in one job source in Lancaster alone, there's 174 current searches for people in the district here. In Palmdale, there's 191. I'm an English major and I don't do quick math. I'm sure Christos could get that precisely, but you know, from across the street, that's over 300 jobs, right? Just right here in these two cities. That's not even talking about the whole of the Antelope Valley. And so when we think about the demand and the great need, I don't see that as a bad thing. What I see is look at the amazing opportunity for all of you who are young and fresh and eager to get into a profession, the change and the different mindset you can bring to the educational system, the energy you can bring to our students. This is a huge and beautiful opportunity. So when you look at this, what you should understand is that what you're training for, there's going to be a job for you. There will be a job for you. So when you do that, when you understand that, what is it that teachers make, right? I just kind of trolled a couple of web pages looking at different job descriptions. If you're an hourly worker, you can make $25 to $30 an hour. Some of them are 10-month jobs, some of them are 12-month jobs, some of them are temporary, some of them are full-time. If you're looking more at some of the non-teaching but support kind of roles, custodial, secretarial, they go anywhere from $2,000 to $3,500 a month, 10-month, 12-month jobs. You have retirement benefits for when when you're ready to enter that promised land that we all look forward to. Teachers can make the starting salary, oh, I forgot a zero, $45,000 to $99,000 a year, 10-month jobs with retirement benefits. And even if you're working your way into that full certification and you're able to qualify as a substitute teacher, $130 a day is not a bad wage for having to hurry up and get somewhere and help out when they're in a bit of a crisis. So really, there's a lot of job functions. Some people might not see themselves as that teacher standing up in the front of the class, but you might see yourself totally as that instructional support assistant, right? Who comes alongside and maybe works one-on-one with students. Maybe your passion is students who are differently abled, and you know that you can give that child the care and attention that they need so that they can learn just like all the other children. So when you think about those things, there's such a wide array of possibilities when it comes to job functions in education. But the real question is, what do teachers really make? This is what we really make. We make generational change. When we embrace those students, and Jane, thank you for sharing your story about coming from another place. When we embrace students who maybe are very tentative because they're in a different culture, they're trying to perform in a language that is not their native language. Think about the change you can make for that family, because once you make change with one generation, that change is made from that generation forward. If we teach them how to be lifelong learners and discerning people, we can break chains of poverty. We can break chains of generational poverty. And that student's children will not be impoverished. This is so significant because this is a change that lives long beyond our tenure in the classroom. It outlives us. And this is what teachers really make. We make empathetic and discerning citizens. When we teach the children, when we teach the young students to be kind to one another, if someone's clothes don't match, don't mock them. Maybe that's all the clothes that they had that were clean today. Let's teach them how to empathize. Let's teach them how to comfort one another instead of alienate one another. Let's teach them how to tell the difference between a joke and a hurtful comment. That's discernment. And when we teach that kind of discernment in children, what that looks like in an adult is the difference between discrimination and acceptance. We make empathetic and discerning citizens. And what all that means when you bring it together, educators make strong communities. In communities where education is strong, the community is strong because you have people who are problem solvers and resourceful. They have been taught how to diagnose the root issue, and they have been taught to fix immediately with resources that they have, make one small change in the right direction to solve the problem. And when many people make helpful small changes, big changes occur in our communities. So when education is strong, our communities are strong. And you, as educator, are privileged to be part of that. Days when I'm tired and days when I think, man, do I have it in me today to go into the office and do XYZ, work on XYZ, deal with ABC. When you have those days ahead of you, in my mind, I go back to my why, and I go back to what we really make in education. We make generational change, we make empathetic, discerning citizens, and we make strong communities. And if that is not life-changing stuff, I don't know what is. You are here early on a Saturday morning because you care and you're interested. And I would say to you, that's the foundation that you need for a strong and successful career in education. I don't know if any of you have heard of Taylor Mawley, but he is an educator. He teaches middle school, actually, and he's also a slam poet. And he has a slam, and I don't know, you probably know what slam poetry is, but it's performance poetry, right? It's a recitation and a little bit theatrical. And if, I'm gonna stop this, when I tried to do this from the PowerPoint last night, it hid the performance. So what I'm gonna do is go here and, okay. Before I start, I'm gonna get past the ad because be transparent. I don't pay YouTube. Maybe that's a cheap move, but now you know a little bit more about me. Okay, is this still?
Jennifer, it's on the screen of your picture right now.
Okay, so let me share again. Thank you for telling me that. Go back to this, share screen. We're going to go here. I'm going to share my computer sound so that you can hear it. And there we go.
We got it.
He says the problem with teachers is, what's a kid going to learn from someone who decided that his best option in life was to become a teacher? I'm sorry. He reminds the other dinner guests that it's true what they say about teachers. Those who can, do, and those who can't, teach. I'm sorry. I decide to bite my tongue instead of his, and resist the urge to remind the other dinner guests that it's also true what they say about lawyers, because we're eating after all, and this is supposed to be polite conversation. I mean, you're a teacher, Taylor. Come on, be honest. What do you make? And I wish he hadn't done that. Asked me to be honest. Because you see, I've got this little policy in my classroom about honesty and butt kicking, which is, if you ask for it, then I have to let you have it. You want to know what I make? I make kids work harder than they ever thought they could. I can make a C+ feel like a Congressional Medal of Honor, and I can make an A- feel like a slap in the face. How dare you waste my time with anything less than your very best? I make kids sit through 40 minutes of study hall in absolute... No, you may not work in groups. No, you cannot ask me a question, so put your hand down. Why won't I let you go to the bathroom? Because you're bored, and you don't really have to go to the bathroom, do you? I make parents tremble in fear when I call home at around dinner time. Hi, this is Mr. Molly. Hope I haven't called at a bad time. I just wanted to talk to you about something that your son said today in class. To the biggest bully in the grade, he said, "Hey, why don't you leave that kid alone?" I still cry sometimes, don't you? And that was the noblest act of courage that I have ever seen. I make parents see their children for who they are and who they can be. You want to know what I make? I make kids wonder. I make them question. I make them criticize. I make them apologize and mean it. I make them write, and then I make them read. I make them spell. Definitely beautiful, definitely beautiful, definitely beautiful. Define nightly, beautiful, until they will never misspell either one of those words again. I make them show all their work in math class and then hide it on their final drafts in English. I make them realize that if you've got this, then you follow this. And if somebody ever tries to judge you based on what you make, you give them this. Here, let me break it down for you so you know what I say is true. Teachers make a difference. Now, what about you?
That is one of my, thank you for letting me share that. It's one of my favorite poems of his. He has another one called The Miracle Workers, and it's also about teaching. It's so powerful because what he says is true. You know, it's that dinner conversation. And what do you do, right? And, you know, people want to play those social power games. But the reality is, Kayla, his name is Taylor Mali. I'll type it in the chat. Taylormali. And what do you do? Social power games are just that. They're games. And what we as educators know, when people play those games, it's out of a sense of their own, maybe inadequacy. Maybe they don't really believe in what they're doing to the extent that we believe in what we're doing. We intentionally pursue a career, a calling of service. So I thank you for being here today. I invite you, I thank you for letting Antelope Valley College serve you, and thank you for letting us come alongside. Jane, Christos, Renee, thank you so much. To all of you, explore today with all of your heart, all of your passion, and if you ever want to talk, I'm going to put my email in the chat. Send me an email. There's nothing I love to talk more than teaching. I've done it since the earth was cooling. And so, you know, it's a beautiful thing. So enjoy today, and thank you so much for allowing me to join you for today.